Today is Saturday, October 21st, 2023. Welcome to the Survivor Fans Podcast. I'm Joanne.
And I'm Stacy.
And this is the listener feedback show for Survivor 45, Week 4.
This is the reality. Occasionally, Survivor has a not-so-good episode. Could be to a multitude of reasons. That's what we're dealing with. Part of managing that process is to come together and talk it out, hash it out. Make some observations. I like the approach a lot of people talk. They say, here's the good things. There's definitely some good things I liked about this episode, and then there's this bad thing. And we are going to discuss that and come at it from different angles. It's all part of it, and then we purge it, and we move on. That's what we're here for today.
All righty.
That's the boundaries. Anything we need to know before we get started?
I don't believe so.
How many super fans checked in?
22.
22. Let's kick it off with Pete.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. This is Pete from Boston calling here. Oh, man, what an episode. Well, first, let me know, because most of it was this. Woo! With the tribes swap. Then it ended again like the premiere. Boo. Oh, man, what's going on with casting? First, Hannah. Oh, my goodness. And then Shahin. What in the world? He quits, too. And I did not expect that at all. Oh, I'm a little disgusted, as I'm sure Stacy, you are. I'm going to have to hear these interviews now with EW and Parade and Gordon Holmes. What made him decide this right at Tribal? Because based on the edit, guys, it looked like the women there, the trio, J. Maya, Mama Julie, and Dee, they were going to blindside Sifu, and Shahin was going to be all sad. And I mean, I don't get it. It looked like it was going to be a perfect blindside. Clearly, Sifu wouldn't have saw it coming at all. Happy, good-natured, but no, Shahin out of the blue. Now, it's not because he couldn't handle any of the elements of this and that. Simply put, because he missed his love there. Man, I mean, I just don't get it. Other people that live to be on the show that take years to finally get casted on. And I still thought that there would be a blindsided Sifu the way Dee was talking there, but I guess not. I guess not, though. The way Julie changed it last minute, and so did Jay there as well. But anyway, guys, let me look on the positive side as best I could. So happy Yellow finally won by a swap there. But, hey, good for Caleb. He finally got to see what it's like to win. Got Flint, Goofy Bruce there. Man, he's digging himself more of a grave, I feel like. And Katiara and him are clearly at odds. If Yellow loses next week, I bet it comes down to those two there. And then the other team there, good for Emily, too, to finally win. And it's good that she's in the middle there. But it looks like, based on the edit, she's with Drew and Austin and not the other two. But who knows? We'll see next episode if there's any extra clips there. But, man, what in the world with Shahin? Even Probst was very shocked by it, too. My goodness, now, it's not as bad as the Nayanka Purple Kelly thing, but me, I'm getting a little worried now. It's making me sick, but it was still a solid episode with the swap and a lot of tribe dynamics. Oh, I have to sweat this one out, guys. Take care. Woo.
Woo. That's perfect. Sweep that one away. Definitely, there's an extra scene where Bruce takes Caleb through a process. The whole tribe's down at the beach, and he has him write Lulu losers in the sand, and then the tide comes up and washes it away. A nice little ritual to cleanse things. I like that. Yeah,
they were all down there.
Yeah, they all honored it and in support of Caleb and said, that is no more. All right.
Yeah, I liked it. That's
Yeah.
kind of cool.
Good stuff. There was another extra scene where Caleb goes out hunting for idols, and I loved how it played out. He goes out in the dark. He wakes up. It's very, very early. Goes out, and they even show a little bit later after he goes out that there was what looked like a full moon. So there should have been plenty of light, but he goes, I can't see a thing.
Not up in the trees there were.
Yeah, up where he knew the previous idol was, as what it looked like he went to in that area. And he says, how do they do that when it's like that? So he went down.
Can't see anything. I can't dig.
Right. He went down closer to the beach, I guess, where there was a less impeded view.
Right.
With the moonlight, could get in there, but he still said, oh, I just give up. I go back. But I like that he's trying, and I like that he's thinking, okay, Sabaya went out with one. That means there could be one back at the beach now. So
'Tis true. I actually hadn't thought about it.
And then the third extra scene, or like they always call it on EW.com, the deleted scene, shows the New Bellow tribes. I guess it was just Austin and Drew. They were the only ones that brave enough to try to eat a sea cucumber, but it did not go well. But as far as Austin's concerned, that was all part of the Survivor experience. I like his version of the Survivor experience much more than Sean's. Thanks, Pete. Next up, we got a call from Robert.
Hey, Joanne, Stacy, and Survivor fans. This is Robert from Canada calling in. I thought that this was another pretty good episode until the end, and then, of course, it got soured a little bit for me, like I'm sure it did for most of you. But anyway, before I get into that, I'll rewind to earlier in the episode. I did pick the right tribe to lose the challenge, and it played out sort of how I thought. I thought they would lose, but I thought that Sifu would prove himself to be a really big challenge asset, especially so early in this tribe swap. So I didn't pick Sifu to go. Like you, Joanne, I actually went with Jay Maya. I thought that somehow Shahin would weasel his way into a good position in this tribe. I don't know if I thought they would have sympathy for him going to tribal council, or if he'd just be friendly enough that they wouldn't want to get rid of him, but I did pick Jay Maya to go, so I was wrong on all accounts. But anyway, going into tribal council, Sifu, I think he claims he's a human lie detector. Well, it certainly didn't seem to detect that Reba was laying it on real thick with the Reba Strong. I thought it was like really over the top, and I thought Sifu has to be picking up on this, that something else is afoot. And then, of course, when Shahin started to speak, I'm sure like most of you, we all had the same face as Jeff Probst, like, oh my god, not again, another quitter. And it just brings back memories of when Hannah left the game and all the thoughts that we all have on casting and how they're doing it. Shahin in his interview said his core intention to go on Survivor was reclaiming lost time. And it sounds bad, but I don't think that should be your core intention. Your core intention should be winning the game, nothing else. It's a strategy-based game, and I think the problem is some people are coming out on Survivor and they're achieving their dreams and saying, that's good enough, I'm going to go home now, especially because Survivor nowadays is really hard and you're starving and whatnot, so you're okay with what you've gotten if you've had this journey of self-discovery. And I think your dream should not be fulfilled until you win or you get your torch snuffed against your will. So I think casting needs to make some changes. I think they need to cast a lot more people I would describe as blue collar and not as many people out there for self-discovery or vacation, but that's my thoughts on that. I really like the moment at Tribal Council with who voted for Sifu. So we'll see how that plays out next week. I think Dee should be really concerned, especially the last time Sifu asked her about voting. He was carrying a machete and looking like a maniac. So anyway, next week will be interesting. It looks like Jake has another medical issue possibly, and Jeff on his podcast seemed to indicate that something happens next week where a person could talk about it, go on some sort of speaking tour. So I'm not sure if that's lopped in with whatever this Jake incident is, but I look forward to hearing your fan theories on that. And that's it for me. You guys just take care.
Thanks, Robert. I took it to mean we were going to get another deep background on someone like they had done in some of the previous seasons, and that the way that they tell their story so impressed Jeff that he thought they had a future in public speaking. We have extra time for that kind of thing, but I've, like some other fans mentioned this week, I've been enjoying not having to do that. I am not terribly interested in that aspect of reality TV where everything has to be a sob story.
Yeah, I thought Jake might even be crying or something when he dropped to his knees.
He had that same shake, that palsy kind of movements when he hyperventilated before, though. His hands were doing that.
Well, that's weird. I wonder if he's seen medical since that happened, or he just swept it under the rug.
We do not know.
We don't.
To be determined. TBD. Thanks, Robert. Next up, We got an email from Shahin in Australia. Hi, Joanne and Stacy. Hope you and the fans are doing well. This seems to be an extremely late submission this week. If it weren't for waking up to watch the Premier League, I would have forgotten. Oh, my goodness. Well, thank you, Premier League. Oh, boy, where to start? Tick for production. They're killing it this season. Another heavily improved and innovative challenge, and the tribe time is superb. It shows us how imperative 90 minutes is. Side note, is it me, or have they completely removed castmate stories and flashbacks? There we go. Good question. They flooded us with background information in previous season, but it looks like they've either completely removed it or have eased up to bring it later into the season. It's feeling like it might be later starting next episode. Thumbs down for casting. This has been truly abysmal. I love the positivity, Joanne, but I have to go with Stacy on this one. We remember episodes and seasons for single moments, and I, for one, can't suddenly tell myself the episode was good, bar the total farce we saw with Sean. It's like when a chef and their team are delivering an 8-course meal. 7 of the 8 were good, but the dessert there to cap off a great night was spoiled and rotten. You can't forget that, and it will ruin your experience. Same goes for this episode. Sean is a quitter, and like Hannah, both deserve to have their torches thrown in the fire. Jeff sounded so disappointed in his interview, and I read some more stuff with Dalton, and it seems Sean isn't owning up to anything. He does say he regrets it, but it might be towards the end. Guys, that's 2 of you who took the place of someone much worthier than yourselves. Yeah, neither one of them seemed to really comprehend that. This is not the platform to solely find yourself. This is a competition for $1 million with people waiting in the wings, really wanting this opportunity for better reasons than yourselves. Casting has disappointed me in that regard because the wrong TV moments can really spoil other great moments we've seen. And to be fair, there are some great characters already. I can see a few qualify as future all-stars by their character alone. I just feel bad that a few bad eggs will have characterized what seems to be a good season by their own actions. Thanks for all you do. Have a good one. Thanks, Shahin. Next up, we got a call from Rebecca.
Rebecca calling from Northern California as of today with my feedback for week 4. Well. I watched this episode while I was packing up my last night in Maine, and towards the end I was really tired and I got into bed to watch the end of it on my computer, and I was really excited because after much contemplation and much discussion with the friends in the Facebook group, I decided that seafood would be a great vote out, and I decided to be like Stacy and go super bold and mark Sean as safe. So I was really happy with the way things were going. I was quite spent from packing up the house all day and just kind of snuggled up in my bed going, this is freaking awesome. They all want seafood out. Sean looks like he's totally secure. So glad I played bold. And then out of nowhere, Sean saying, send me home. I thought we were done with this. It was so disappointed. I actually slammed my laptop closed in frustration and didn't even revisit what had happened until the next day. I just couldn't. I just can't even. Another quitter? Are you seriously freaking kidding me? I cannot with this quitting. We keep talking about it. There's so many people who want to play this game. You know what you're signing up for. It's Survivor. It's really hard. You're going to be cold and tired and hungry, and you're playing a game. And exactly what Joanne said when I went back and watched it again, when I had settled myself, you're not going home, Sean. You're staying in Fiji for 26 days until the show is over, so they don't spoil it that you got voted out early because it's a reality game. I was just so bummed. So I lost my first save point. Very, very upset. I mean, the rest of the episode was great. I love Emily. She's turned it around so hard, and I love Caleb. I just, everybody's dynamics are so great. I don't know what's going on with these quitters this season. It's just so unusual. The best part of watching this show is it's something that you know would be so hard to do, and there they are out there doing it. They're hungry, they're tired, they're cold, they're doing crazy challenges, everybody's backstabbing everybody, and you're sitting watching at home going, God, I would love to do that. Or at least I am thinking, God, I would love to do that. And that would be really difficult. Darn you, Sean. Completely ruined my points, man. Anyway, it's great to be back home in Northern California, and I already miss Maine, and I hope everybody is well and having a wonderful day, and thank you, Joanne and Stacy, and I look forward to next week, and hopefully nobody else quits. Bye.
Thanks, Rebecca. Welcome home. Next up, we got a call from Rashmi.
Hello, Joan and Stacy, and all my survivor friends. Another episode and another quit. 4 episodes, 4 vote outs, out of which 2 were orchestrated quits. Is Lulu one of the worst tribes of all times? They lost all the challenges so far, barring the one before the swap, and 2 of its 5 tribe mates quit. Maybe next time they'll be looking closely at which super fans they recruit or choose for the game. Sure, Shahin was connecting with his husband, but I think he quit for a nice warm bed and a hot meal. As Stacey mentioned, he wasn't reunited with his partner the very next day. I'm sure his partner would have appreciated more money. I don't think quitters should be given all this airtime and press. Well, It seems Dee and Katura's position in the game took a real nosedive. Katura continues to be like a monotone anti-Bruce person. Not only that, but Kelly showed no signs of wanting to stay connected with her. Kelly is in the middle with a stronger position, and I loved Caleb's play of getting his foothold in his new tribe. What was crazy Uncle Bruce doing with the flint? I wonder if he's doing all this to get just more airtime. Dee's vote to boot Sifu really blew up in her face, not relenting when even Shahin begged to be booted out. It will be interesting to see the fallout from it in the next episode. Emily is finally finding some traction. She's in the middle and appears to be wanted both by the red and blue factions, but she has played it well so far. I'm really liking Austin, and I think if a man wins season 45, it's going to be him. Drew seems to be headed for a bad fall. He's overly confident, and Austin seems more grounded, or maybe I'm biased. I think Kendra had a nice fire starting scene. Brando and Jake just seem to be there, and they seem to be getting a bit of a purple edit. I wonder if one of them is going to be voted up next. But then I think Reba is going to go to tribal, and if that happens, it could be Sifu's turn to go home, as he will make a big noise about who wrote my name down. That's what I think. Anyway, I'll figure out once I hear what everybody else has to say. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Joanne and Stacy. Cheers.
Cheers, Rashmi. Yeah, I think Rajmi's onto something with Dee and Katura. They do seem to be, they're not in the positive column right now. Dee seems like she might have shifted even more significantly than where Katura is.
I'm not seeing that.
You don't see Dee taking a hit for how all this went down?
Sure, she could.
She shifted away from that solid 3-person alliance they supposedly had.
I don't think so. I think they'll pull it back together, the girls.
Go back to the plan.
Yeah, whereas Katura, I do think she's kind of maybe isolating herself more by, at least she's not saying as much as she is in confessionals to the other people. So that's good at least. But still, yeah, I'm sure everyone's picking up on her attitude about Bruce.
Mm-hmm. Hard to miss some of those eye rolls.
Yeah.
Good deal.
Though I enjoyed them.
Thanks, Rajmi. Next up, we got a call from Nora.
Hi, Stacy and Joanne. It's Nora in Canada. I am so angry watching that episode that I can barely speak. But the person I'm angry at isn't... I'm disappointed that Sifu says he's an energy guy. Oh, energy, Tai Chi. Then why didn't you even remotely attempt, Sifu, to bond with your group? They're your safety net for the future. Okay. But anyway, that's not who I'm mad at. I'm mad at J. Maya. Can you imagine? Okay, maybe I identified too much with Dee and Julie, but because I adore them, especially Julie. She's so brilliant and lovable. Listen, J. Maya comes along to Dee and Julie and makes passionate speeches, virtually cornering them into doing her will, which was to vote out Sifu as if he had an idol, but why check his bag if you think he has an idol. I mean, if that's your reason. So Julie has to bond really hard with Dee. Dee steps out in front, makes positions. Julie runs in and holds her hand and says, yes, I am here for you, and is there for her. But what are you asking of Julie and Dee now, J. Maya, when you force them passionate speeches against Sifu, like you're not going to be with them? She was almost blackmailing them into choosing Sifu out, and then at the end we see that she didn't even vote for Sifu. J. Maya must be the worst team member ever to play the game on Earth, ever. I can't even speak about anything else on this. I'm so angry at that girl. Can you imagine being in Julie and Dee's position and you have to put all of your plans aside or you lose this girl, J. Maya, into the future, and that's really important, right? And then she backstabs you by not even writing Sifu's name down. And you guys are going to have to live with Sifu's anger. And J. Maya's all protected because she voted somebody else. Okay, can't even speak. Too angry. Talk to you later.
That's a different take. I didn't see that one coming. Thanks, Nora. Next up, we got an email from Jack in California.
Hello, Joanne, Stacy, and all Survivor fans. Another one bites the dust, leaving only 2 Lulus left. And darn it, that tribe is just a complete mess, with no challenge wins that actually count until the tribe shift happened. Hopefully, with the tribe shuffle, that tribe's luck will start to turn around. It did this week. Before I continue with this most recent episode, here are my brief thoughts about the one last week. I probably would have given the shot in the dark back as well for a good sign of faith and trust in the tribe dynamic. I feel like sending Caleb to raid the Reba camp was pretty strategic, and their reasoning for doing so is solid. The goodwill advantage was a new and interesting way to gain trust with someone from the other camp, and Drew is doing really well out there with the few advantages he has from this new one to the safety without power advantage as well. I did not really see Sabaya leaving that last episode, so that was a bit of a shock to me as well. As for this most recent episode in the tribe swap, Brando did sort of see the swap coming and mentioned it before it happened. The way the swap worked was quite interesting, and not only one of Lulu going to each tribe, but the way the others got split up with the 4-4 and 2 split from the Reba and Bello. What was a bit interesting was the fact that Lulu's camp was the exact same camp Bruce was in last season, and he had the meltdown remembering what happened then. He's been playing better this time, but I don't know how long he will last. I don't understand the purposes of quitting on the show. Hannah was the first, and now Sean. They went through the voting process, but Sean not wanting to be there anymore makes me wonder what the casting process was looking at. I'll still be watching, and it doesn't leave a horrible taste for me, but quitting is just not an option for me if I get on the show. If the demolishing of Lulu continues, then Caleb and Emily are in trouble, but I have a feeling that it may be someone else next week. We shall see. All right, thanks, Jack. Up next, we've got a call from Dan.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy, this is Dan from Sacramento. I love this episode. Enjoyed all the tribes switching up. One thing I wanted to bring up this week was how the producers are profiling the different survivors and showing how each survivor is so different. Just an example, Caleb and Emily, they're getting a lot of coverage, and I'm really enjoying those two players. Caleb is a guy that everyone seems to like, but I think he's a physical threat for all the other survivors. And he also has a good social presence in the tribe. So I think he is a player that might go far this season, but I don't ultimately think he's going to be in the final 3 because he's too much of a threat for everyone else. Emily over in her new tribe, thanks to Caleb's help, she's in a position of power. And again, her and Caleb are really fan favorites. I'm enjoying that coverage. Sifu, he's my USB, and I think showing him as a foolish player in his guitar, the way he plays his guitar and stuff, and it's kind of getting on the other players' nerves. But what's funny is we don't know why that is. We've only seen him a couple times. Why are Dee and J. Maya trying to take him out? Why do you want him out right now? J. Maya, we really have not learned much about her the first 4 episodes, and then all of a sudden she finally speaks. I had used her as my vote out the first 3 weeks, and then this week I changed to Sean and ultimately got a vote out point. So I was glad about that. But we really don't know much about J. Maya. Keturah, why is she so much on the dislike of Bruce? That's the only story that we know about Keturah. We don't know really much about her other gameplay. What is going on there? Why are producers only showing that aspect of it? And then Bruce he's only being shown kind of like foolishness, kind of like Sifu. Also, not a lot of gameplay from either of those two. And then Jake, I loved how he laughed so much at his own joke. The laughing just kept going and going. Indra and Brando, were you even on this episode? We don't know much about certain players, but we know a lot about other players. So the game of Survivor seems to be, if you have an interesting story to the producers, then you'll get a lot of coverage. But if you don't, then I don't think you're going to have much of a chance to win this Survivor season. It's funny how some players have so much more coverage than others. That's my thoughts. I love the episode, and I hope everyone has a great week, and I look forward to the listener feedback this week. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thanks, Dan. Yep, it's always interesting to look at the edit and the choices they're making. Of course, some of it's just natural because the tribe that goes to tribal council is the one dealing with the most adversity, and overcoming adversity is a classic, compelling story.
Well, I really think that they should give purple edits to the people that have quit.
Yes.
Even if it's an orchestrated quit, which still in my book's a quit, but even though it's technically not. But
and Sean wasn't featured a whole lot, and you have to show something for Hannah.
Yeah.
Since she went out, quit first.
One thing that bothered me about Sifu this episode, I don't remember if I said this in the recap or not, but he seemed intimidating with the machete, especially when he was talking to Julie and saying, "Are you sure he didn't get to you?" And he's, with machete there in the... I don't know. I have a problem with anyone even hovering over someone that's sitting down when they're, confronting them about something, but standing there with the machete and chopping it into the woods while you're doing it, it's like...
What's a scene we've seen on Survivor many times in the past.
Well, yeah. But I liked it when Dee said, "Put that down." And she took it from him and put it in the wood.
She wasn't going to stand there and let him play with it while they talked. That was good.
That's something I would do.
Yeah. Good deal. Thanks, Dan. Next up, we got a new caller, David from Oklahoma.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. This is David from Oklahoma. Wow, this episode was oof. I've never actually done this before, so hi to everyone. But I don't know how to explain this except it was kind of messy. I didn't actually do a USB, but if I did, I would have picked Jake. He seems to be doing decent so far. Hope he doesn't pass out this episode and have to go home. But on the other hand, I'm disappointed in Sean, like everybody else probably is. But I didn't really care that much because he wasn't really on my list. But Emily, on the other hand, has improved so well, and I'm so happy that she has done so much better, and I'm so excited to see her play. Keturah makes me laugh on so many levels, especially when she hates on Bruce, mainly because he's a goofball. And is there anyone else noticeable? Oh, also, the fact that Dee and Julie aren't saying anything about Sifu and his idol, even though they know for a fact Austin has it. But besides that, it wasn't too much of an episode. Still loving the season. And thank you for everything you do. And I hope we don't have any more quitters, because if I do, I'm not going to know what to do with myself. Talk to you guys later. Bye.
Thanks,
All
David.
right.
Good job on your first audio.
Welcome, David. You and I were watching, was it an extra clip we were watching, or were we just rewatching the show? When, what was it Bruce was saying? And, they had been flipping to Keturah's confessionals. And in one, she was going on and on and on. They made it sound like that's all she was talking about was Bruce and blah, 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 blah. And then the next one, Bruce said whatever it was he said, and they show her in the confessional giving a look.
Oh, it was when he did the thing with the flint. where he was like emptying his pockets. I've lost the flint,
yeah.
but he
That's
really
what
had
it
it in a
was.
zippered pocket.
And I thought that look, whether it was about that or not, spoke volumes more than all the other stuff she
It did.
actually said.
I could hear her saying, please.
Oh, please. Yeah. I could too. And I thought, oh, now that is much more impactful to me than when she goes on and on and on and on.
Even that, I think, was an editing effect.
Yeah, I do too.
Because when they did those cuts the way they did, it made it seem like she was going on longer. But I think she was just listing a set of things.
Mm-hmm. Well, we know editing does that. They take liberty with doing that.
Yeah.
And that's why I said you have no idea if she was making that face about the Flint situation or not.
I got to
But it
believe
was
that
perfect.
was, yeah, you got to believe the producer asked, what did you think of his trick with the Flint? And that was the look that you got. Oh,
Yep, I loved that.
That was good. I would like to see more about her than her defined by her dislike of Bruce's antics. I hope we do get more from her. I think she's got a lot of potential in the game.
Yeah, and at least she seems to be playing by,
Reaching out to Caleb.
Yeah,
planting seeds there.
But I'm not seeing any closeness with Jake or Kelly, really.
I did expect to see a moment with Kelly because they had that connection between Kelly, Keturah, and Kendra. And I thought...
So we thought.
They would... these things come and go. That's another thing that the edit doesn't really get to show us.
Well, Kelly's much better off to get in with the two guys than with just Keturah, right?
It depends.
Bruce and Jake?
She could put herself in that same situation again to have two.
That's true.
Keturah could be a second for her.
Yeah.
And then then it's just scrapping over Caleb.
Well,
Who's
I
going to get
wouldn't
Caleb?
shut the door on anybody at that point.
Right.
I'd leave all doors open. But anyway.
All right. Thanks, David. Next up, we got a call from Denise.
Hey, Joanne and Stacy. This is Denise in Florida. I really enjoyed this episode right up until the end. I've been waiting for this tribe swap and so excited to have it happen. I love how it broke down. I really love the fact that they showed Caleb throwing down his yellow buff and sitting on it right before they drew their buff. So, of course, he would draw another yellow. But once you got over there and you had the, as my son calls them, the Nulu crew arriving at camp, he said it was like someone had burnt sage at the camp and reversed the curse. And I love that. Turns out there really wasn't an actual curse. There was just a bad luck charm named Shahin. Regarding Emily, I don't think I've ever felt such a change in myself towards a Survivor contestant before, not even Carolyn. But I just really enjoy Emily right now, and I love that she's the belle of the ball. I thought it was hilarious when she was using the machete to smack the coconuts and saying, "Screw you, Lulu." Probst has hinted that there is a showmance in this season, which clearly we haven't seen that yet. And part of me is hoping that it's going to be Emily and Drew, because wouldn't that be fun? As for Shahin, I was so
Emily's
disappointed
married.
in him. I didn't buy any of what he said, his reasons for quitting and the martyrdom and all that stuff. I'm sick of that stuff. Partly, I think Probst is responsible for going so easy on Hannah and her quit in the first episode. He let her snuff her tour. How could that happen? He should have snatched that buff off her neck and threw it in the fire and told her to get the heck out of here. And that might have made an impression on Shahin that maybe it's not such a good idea to quit right in front of Probst. I hope that Jeff will be a little more severe on future quitters, and maybe they should engineer some kind of a penalty into their contract for anybody who tries that nonsense. You know, you have to reimburse CBS for your transportation and if you quit. Since Sabaya had been taken out with an idol in her pocket, does that mean there's another idol on Yellow now? And is anyone looking for an idol on Blue Beach? What the heck? One thing also I'll point out that we really haven't heard a lot of the background stories this season, and that's kind of good. The reason we're having these people who think that it's okay to have their personal journey instead of playing the game is because new Survivor has such an emphasis on that personal journey. I think Shahin thought it was okay for him to tell Jeff that he had that self-discovery, and he thought that Jeff would be okay with him quitting the game. But I do love that the editors have not flooded us with all of that stuff. We know what they do for a living, and we know how they're working their relationships through, and we can learn some of their personal journeys. But okay, anyway, I am enjoying the season. Hope that's the last of the quitters, and I look forward to next week. Thank you. We enjoy you guys. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Denise. You made a lot of good points. There really should be a consequence for quitting.
Yes, at the very least, they should get no money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Even if they don't have to reimburse expenses,
even
they
though
should
it's
not
a
get
small amount early in the game.
They should not get it.
And I like having to pay back the travel expenses.
Yeah,
too.
that would.
And the lodging, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and the other thing is, I'm not sure that Emily's husband would be thrilled with her having a showmance with Drew.
Yeah, and check out that extra video with Caleb, Denise. That's on the. You can find the two places I go: Survivor on CBS channel on YouTube. That'll have the official extra videos, and then EW.com under Dalton Ross. There'll be a deleted scene. So we typically get about 3 scenes an episode that way of extra stuff, and you do see Caleb out searching. And what an interesting idea that Shahin thought he had license to do that, because Probst didn't really chastise Hannah in any way. There was no blowback on her for that choice, and I think Denise is onto something, because Shahin is just wishy-washy. He did say in the interviews, I watched the 3 different ones like Pete was talking about, and in each one he did say he regrets what he did, that he didn't keep doing that. And he says when he was presented with the question about, well, what if they had ignored your wish and kept you? And he says, well, I'm pretty sure I would have stayed in it and kept going. I wouldn't have quit. So, yeah, he's just, unfortunately, when he got tested for real the first time, right, there was 2 instances, one on night 7 when the vote didn't go his way and Sabaya went out. And then again on night 9 when he's back at tribal council again, and there's a chance he's going, he just folded as soon as things really weren't going his way.
And Shahin really did not seem to be contributing in that challenge. He was like, can somebody help me back here? And the other, Julie is carrying that on her shoulders.
Up in the front where you have to lift to begin with off the ground.
Yes.
Yeah. You can get by with dragging a little in the back if you can lift the front, so you can make some forward progress. She had it up on her shoulders just right there with Sifu, arm to arm.
Dee did eventually a little bit, but yeah, I think it was Julie and Sifu that mainly
made that possible.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Shahin just didn't look like he was contributing anything.
I don't know that he had a lot to offer, but he did seem to bring some strength to help Brandon eventually get up the ladder, but I don't know. That's just a...
Yeah, but that was I'm talking recently, since Sabaya went home and
the
he
lack
got
of
the shock.
Courage on his part in this particular instance just doesn't tell a great story. He wanted another experience, but I don't think he got what he was hoping for. I think he was even selling merch. Even though he knew he was a quitter, he was selling Survivor Shahin merch. I don't... That guy's a mess. I don't get where... He sees this through a lens that I'm completely oblivious to.
I wouldn't buy it at this point.
No. I wasn't even... I'm just like the audacity to do that when you're a freaking quitter.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Denise. Let's keep going. We're going to get sidetracked and off down a deep rabbit hole.
You go, baby.
Next up, we got an email from Justin in Michigan. Hi, Joanna, Stacy, and all the Survivor super fans. I feel like investment analyst Emily observing the flow of this season like it's a volatile stock chart. A terrible start with a pathetic quit, a couple good classic Survivor episodes, and then another surprise quit that put another damper on the season. Like I said, after week 1, it can only get better from here. Let's hope. It was painfully obvious Sifu is not a basketball player with absolutely no follow-through on his quick flick shot compared to Caleb and Austin, who had excellent textbook form. They did, didn't they? I don't think Reba had any better options to take the shots, though, unfortunately, so they seemed doomed to lose that challenge. I had Sifu going home in JSFL this week. It felt like a good call throughout most of the episode, but then again, I had it in the back of my mind that it was a bit too obvious. Nevertheless, I didn't expect the abrupt turnaround from Shahin starting tribal council making his case to stay in the game to asking them to vote him out. Turns out we as viewers were meant to be the true blind side all along rather than Sifu. Yeah, right. One thought I had when Dee quickly turned to Julie and indicated to still vote for Sifu right before they were about to vote, why didn't she get up to whisper with Julie and Jay? That's a great question. To make sure they were all on the same page, one way or the other. She mouthed seafood to Jay also. I had missed it the first time, but you can see her do that to Jay and then to Julie.
And neither one of them did it.
Given Shahin's sudden change of heart, clashing with the original plan going into tribal, it seemed like an appropriate time for a live tribal council if Dee still wanted Sifu gone. Now it appears there will be some ill will between Dee and Sifu going forward. Anyway, despite 4 original Lulu leaving first, I do think both Caleb and Emily are going to go far in this game. I'm actually hoping one of them wins it all. Caleb was my first impression USB, and then I changed it to Emily, so I've liked them both and think either would have a good comeback arc. Random fun side note, I noticed this week that Julie has a voice and cadence very similar to Mrs. Incredible from Pixar's The Incredibles. Interesting. Looking forward to what everyone else has to say. Who is that? Holly? Who does that voice? Mrs. Incredible? Holly Hunter?
I don't know.
Looking forward to what everyone else has to say, and let's hope this is our last quit for a long, long time. Thanks, Justin. I fully agree with that. Next up, we got a call from David.
Wait, what just happened? Hey, Joanne and Stacy, it's David in Pittsburgh, and I'm as confused as a goat on AstroTurf. My mind is racing. I'm going to talk fast, so I'm going to try calm down, but I have watched as many exit interviews with Shahin as I could find, and I still cannot make any sense of what just happened. He says he believes that Sifu was going to be blindsided. And if we believe him, and I don't know what to believe, he wasn't saying his farewell because he thought he was going to be blindsided. But Jeff asked him about his journey, and suddenly he's quoting his first grade teacher, something about embracing his failure and about being a Mormon and being conservative. Like Hannah, he doesn't want to take away someone else's dream on his team, so please vote him out. And of course, his true lifetime adventure is back home with his husband. And while he's saying all this stuff, everybody looks shocked. Jeff, the 3 women, but not Sifu. He's smiling because he was going to vote Shahin off anyway, like he thought the plan was. On Jeff's podcast, he believes that Shahin engineered this to make some kind of a romanticized exit. All I can think of is, couldn't he have said something like, whatever's decided tonight, I want to say that this adventure on Survivor has shown me that I can handle any kind of adversity and blah, blah, blah. And I know that the true adventure of my life, blah, 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 and my husband, blah, blah, blah. But this is what I learned from Survivor. But no, he does a Hannah. I kept thinking the editing didn't show us everything that happened, because why did he vote for Dee? And then when the Sifu asked him if he voted for Sifu, he says no, so he threw somebody else under the bus. I don't get it. None of it makes sense to me, and listening to him blah, blah, blah about it makes absolutely no sense to me. All I know is I'm just so annoyed with him, just as I was with Hannah. The only good thing that came out of this was he was going to be my USB, and I changed my mind at the last minute, but I am so upset with this. Oh, yes. And Shahin says in his exit on Survivor, I could have won Survivor if I wanted to. Yeah, right. On to week 5, and now please, no more quitters. Talk to you guys next week. Bye.
I agree, David. It was hard listening to those interviews. They were quite a mess.
I did.
Yeah, we didn't subject you to any of that this week, did
No.
we? No. Well, I was hoping that there might be some hints, some clues into something else, and I was hoping he would own what he had done and there was a mistake, and he does effectively end up saying that multiple times in different ways. So I think that guy is just, again, that's got to be one of your worst fears.
He had his fun adventure.
You get out there and you realize you're not the person you thought you were in one of the most publicly devastating ways possible.
It's like,
He
I don't want to do this.
crumbled.
Yeah, and he seemed fine until Jeff asked the question that he asked him. And then he started talking, and then it went off the rails somewhere.
He got
It's
scared.
Like, what?
I think he just got scared. Thanks, David. Next up, we got a call from Parker.
Hey, it's Parker from Indiana, and I'm really flabbergasted about what happened at Tribal Council. I can't find words for it. I'm going to touch on the good, what I really enjoyed first, because this was a fun episode. I love tribe swaps. Tribe swaps are amazing. I've very much missed an actual full-fledged tribe swap, and this delivered so much fun dynamics. I loved it. Emily and Caleb both winning a challenge after almost going. Could have gone in the last episode. That's amazing. Super happy for them. And I think it says something that we didn't get a back at camp moment with Emily after the challenge, but we got one with Caleb. I think that definitely says something. Caleb, they're both big narrators of this season. I really feel like Caleb's getting that, I don't want to say winner edit, but he's getting a big story. And she is too, but for whatever reason, they chose to showcase Caleb and not Emily. And maybe I'm reading too much into that, but I don't know. I feel like that says something. But I love seeing the narrators of this season emerge now that some people are getting picked off. Drew is also a really strong narrator. Austin as well. And I think Julie is emerging as one too. And she kind of reminds me of the Kathy Vabrick O'Brien comparison has been made. She also reminds me of T-Bird a bit, kind of a combination of those two. I'm here for it. I'm loving Julie. I think Jake is a really underrated character. And Kelly as well. She got a lot of fan support going into the season, but then we didn't see as much of her. But I think those two are really underrated characters, and I'm really fascinated to see what happens with them in his future, especially Jake, who, after this next time on, I'm really concerned for. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the Boston accent, but I'm really invested in Jake. I think he's playing a solid game. I would love to see a Caleb-Jake alliance. So I really hope that whatever's going on can stop, because I want to see how that plays out. Touching on tribal. What just happened? What was this? Why two people are quitting in the same season? What is this, Survivor Nicaragua? I know that both these people were not recruits. Hannah, maybe. Sean was a fan, right? This just seems so out of the blue. I'll give him credit. Missing your husband, much more reasonable of an excuse than missing nicotine. But also, if you knew that was going to be that hard for you, maybe don't go on the show. I don't know. What? It's Survivor 45 and two people just quit. What? Wow. I'm speechless. Anyway, I guess that's all I got, because I can't form words to actually talk about this. So I will see you all next time, and hopefully Jake doesn't die. Yeah, cool. What?
All right. Thanks, Parker. I think another thing that annoyed me about his exit interviews is you could tell he's had media training. I don't know if it was in response to this, or he was doing some classic patterns, and some of his pre-prepared phrases he was ready with, and he was hitting over and over. Of course, you get asked the same questions too, but thank you so much for that question, and which is a cover to give you a little bit of time.
A little time to think about your answer.
Yeah, but it's all part of someone who's had media training usually, and it was.
Or, that's a really good question. It's just a stall.
Yeah. And then his spin on things was, further annoying. You did the right call not listening to any of those. Thanks, Parker. On to bigger and better, right? Next up, we got a call from Kim.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy and all the Survivor fans. This is Kim from North Carolina. I haven't listened to the recap show, which I usually do, just in case I've completely misunderstood something that happened during the episode. So please forgive me for any ridiculous interpretations. I'll start with saying who at the beginning of the episode was looking good to me after the tribe swap. So D, I thought was looking strong. Caleb continues to look really strong. He has good emotional IQ, as demonstrated with his interaction on Lulu with Emily, and he was a beast in the challenge. That challenge was a killer. It made me wonder, how many stress tests do they have to do before they get to go out there? Now, on to who didn't look good to me at the beginning. Emily, Shahin, and Katura. Not that they didn't look good, but they looked like they might be in a worse position. It looked to me like Katura is the only one who's irritated by Bruce. At least that's what the edit seems to say, which makes me wonder if they're setting us up for her being voted out next time. So on to Tribal Council. Is Shahin another quitter? Or is he trying to manipulate them? And then they called an audible to go for Sifu, which means they fell for it, in particular D, which then put D in my not looking that good list. It appeared to me like D thought everybody was going to vote for Sifu, and then Shahin kind of threw her under the bus by voting for her and signaling that only one person voted for Sifu and that it was D. Emily was practically giddy. We're really seeing a different side of her. It seems things might work out for her over there on the Blue Tribe. I have had Kendra as a vote out several times, and maybe that will come true next week. Thanks for everything you do to make the podcast, Joanne, Stacy, and all the Survivor fans. Love the song, Drew. My husband said, man, he can sing. That's it for me. See everybody next week. Omaha!
Do you know what that was? She's calling an audible.
Oh.
Thanks, Kim. Good job. Next up, we got an email from Thomas in Toronto.
Hey, fellow Survivor fans. First off, I want to say I'm still not sold on how much we actually need an extra 30 minutes of Survivor each episode, but I'm not going to argue about that. What I do want to talk about is the last vote out. I've seen some posts where people are calling it another quit because of how Shahin talked at Tribal Council. I think what he was doing was reading the room and realizing that he was going home no matter what. He said no matter what he said, so he might as well say how he feels in the moment compared to the person who actually quit and forced a vote. This was completely different. Thomas out.
Probe said, when they were asking him about this, that in all the pre-interviews before Tribal Council, when they'd talk to each of them, Sifu was going. That there was a clear indication that Sifu was going. Now, they could have been hiding that from production, but that was the plan as far as they knew from that perspective.
All right. Thanks, Thomas. Up next, we have a call from Nicola.
Hey, Survivor family. It's Nicola from Lexington. No Jackson this week. I just got done watching the episode live time, so to speak. Lord help us. Lord help us with these quitters. That was a quit. Another quit. No clue it was coming till this grandstand speech at Tribal Council. Ugh, these people are ruining Survivor for us. I might think of more later, but that's all I got. I'm just disappointed, and thanks for all you do. Look forward to hearing everybody's voices, and yay, I got back into my JSFL account. Boo, I didn't get a vote off, and I probably lost a save point. Maybe, I don't know. Anyway, talk to you all soon. Have a wonderful week. Bye, everybody.
Thanks, Nicola. Up next, we got a call from Marla.
Hi, Joanne and Stacy. Hi, Survivor friends. This is Marla from Illinois with a little bit of feedback. First of all, Emily's doing one of my favorite teacher tricks. If you start out the school year and you're a little cranky and grouchy, and then you sweeten up, all they remember is that you used to be a little mean, but now you're nice. And that must be the real you. I have used that trick so many times. So go, Emily. Second of all, Sean, I have been so salty about this all day. I almost can't form words. But here's what I want to say. I am also married, and I like my husband quite a bit. But I want to tell you, if he went on Survivor and quit and did not come home, I would be livid. You're on Survivor, you're at work. Try to win and get some money. We got to pay for college. I don't even know what to say. It was so frustrating. I know that he was trying to make it seem like not a quit, but more like his journey had come to the end. But come on. I think many of us who are married understand that you can be away from your spouse a little bit. It's really okay. So I was angry, and I was salty about it all day. But I do want to say this. I ride public transportation to work, and I had watched Survivor last night before I went to bed, and I have to get on public transportation really early, like at 6 in the morning, to go and teach. And one of my favorite things to do on Thursday is listen to the podcast, and the train is very quiet when I'm leaving for work. And I was listening to the podcast, and when Stacy said that Sean had pooped all over the episode, I burst out laughing, and everyone kind of stared at me. But it did give me a nice start to my day to laugh. I hope you're all doing well. Joanne and Stacy, thanks for all you do, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye.
That's awesome. Thanks, Marla. Appreciate you sharing that. Good stuff. Next up, we got a call from Jill.
The show hasn't even finished yet. You can probably hear it going in the background. And already you want to go, I hate this season. What's going on? Hi, Joanne, Stacey. Hi, Survivor fans. Jill in the Outback here. What another disappointing end to a show. We've had 2 quits, and we've had Brandon, who really shouldn't have been there from the start. Poor Sabaya, she must have been a bit cheesed off when Sean came wandering in after quitting. That would have been a bit of a kick in the teeth to her, I think. And it's a shame too, because it was a pretty good show. Like the whole show was pretty good up until that last point. I just think that he could see the writing on the wall, and he wanted to quit before he got fired. I don't know, it's weird. Anyway, enough of that. I'm sure I'm not going to be the only one mentioning it this week. I thought the challenge was pretty good, lots of physical stuff. So another one without a puzzle. Are they trying to cut back on puzzles because people have been memorising them, or are they in the stage of changing the puzzles so that people don't know what they are? Just something that I thought about while I was watching that one. The edit with Katura talking about Bruce made me laugh, going on and on about every single thing that he was doing. And then later on when he did the flint in his pocket joke, when it cut back to her, and she was just silent. She had no more words left for him. That one made me laugh. On paper, there's not a whole lot that Katura and I have in common, but that is one of them. And we've both got brown eyes. Again, I'm loving the extra time in the episodes this week. Gets to see a little bit more around camp, and especially good this week with our new players coming together after a swap. That's probably all I got this week. Happy days, everyone. Bye.
Thanks, Jill. Next up, we got an email from Josh, the plush moose from Massachusetts. Dear Joanne and Stacy, today is the 12th anniversary of the first time I sent feedback. All right. 12 years of witty observations and a healthy dose of bad dad jokes. I'm no quitter. You're welcome. Here are my other observations. From certain angles, Sean is the spitting image of the Monkees, Mickey Dolenz. That's good. That's true. It's something about that chin and his squint and yep, you nailed
even
that one.
The hair, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that kind of curly hair, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Caleb's investment in Emily paid off, but I still don't want him picking my stocks. Sean was on the bottom of a bad tribe and wanted to swap. The Survivor gods granted his wish. Caleb finally threw down his old yellow buff, only to pick up another one moments later. I felt sorry for Bruce when PTSD kicked in at his Survivor 44 evac spot. Good swimmer Jake wants to jump ship, but he'd better watch out for sharks. Emily is a proud graduate of the Caleb Gabriewald
finishing school.
How did he say his last name?
I don't know. That was good. Gabriewald.
Gibberwold. Emily is a proud graduate of the Caleb Gibberwold Finishing School for Young Ladies. I wish I could have done that better. I got hung up on the name. Drew said Emily is pretty normal and not mean or cruel. Her head doesn't spin around either. Drunkle Bruce will be there all week. Try the veal. Emily's confused. A safety net isn't supposed to drop you. Drew and Austin need to bury their goodies. Maybe they should get Golden Retriever Caleb to help dig. If Bruce pulls another missing Flint gag, Bello will pull a missing Bruce one. If Kawhi Leonard gets injured, the LA Clippers can ask Caleb to fill in for him. Reba minus Drew minus Austin plus Shahin equals old Lulu. Yeah, that's some Survivor math right there. Julie said without Sifu, Reba would still be in the water. That would be a major prunage. That would be major prunage. See, I read that like pruning a tree as opposed to skin prunage.
Yeah.
Sifu swinging the machete gave me strong Mateo from the Amazon vibes. Excellent
Yes,
reference.
yes.
Instead of $1 million, Shahin got a participation trophy, and he's good with that. When I heard horse pucky, my mental image was a horse on skates playing hockey. Despite Sifu being the designated target, Shahin snatched defeat from the jaws of victory. Next week's episode will be preempted by the mystery show, Who Voted Sifu? Are the editors foreshadowing that Jake will pass out in the final 3 fire-making challenge? Now that would be something. Shahin wanted to see his husband. Was he neatly packed in a suitcase at Ponderosa? Doesn't it figure that we got an immunity challenge without a puzzle after Lulu split up? Stacy, for your own health, you should quit stressing about quitters. It's bad for your blood pressure.
That's true.
Shahin is a schmoo. He can buy any food you want. Then he fries himself. Lulu should have gotten 4 out of 5 of a Flint at the swap, since 4 out of 5 members won immunity last week. Katura is probably still sitting on the beach in Fiji complaining about Bruce. Shahin sat in the wrong seat at Reba because he didn't wait for the maitre d' to seat him. Reba's bag search needed the Mission Impossible theme playing in the background. Yeah, that would have worked, wouldn't it? Lulu was so good moving the cage with those poles, Jeff wants them to carry his sedan chair. Instead of using his shot in the dark, Shahin shot himself in the foot. Next time, Sifu's a volcano, Austin's at war, Drew's a periscope, and Jake collapses again. Is Jake a fainting goat? That's perfect. That laugh, and then, yeah. Oh, I hope he's fine, but that might be dark humor there, but that definitely works. Anyway, that's it for me for now. Thanks, Joanna Stacy, for all you do. That one just keeps giving. I can't wait to hear what the other fans have to say. Stay safe, everybody. Thanks, Josh. Good job. Next up, we got a call from Jeremiah.
Hello, everybody. It's Jeremiah here. And let me just say, okay, this quit actually annoyed me even more than the first one. And it's all mostly for selfish reasons, because this fool, Mr. Shahin, not only cost me a safe point, but also a vote-out point, because apparently they were for sure going to be voting for Sifu, who I had going home. And of course, I foolishly had Shahin saved. Thanks a lot, Shahin, for your selfishness, because that's what I'm going to call it. I mean, the whole explanation he had just makes no sense to me. This man, I have no idea why he quit. Okay. Anyway, so yes, I am not happy about the ending of this game, which stinks, because once again, a very good episode, and then ruined by someone who decided to quit. Oh my goodness. Well, I agree. I think Jeff Probst is a little upset about this, and I know he's also part of the casting process. But we already talked about this in the first episode, so they clearly have to maybe change around some of their questioning, figure something out. Mm-hmm. I know one of the things that was brought up on Know-It-Alls this week was this notion about looking for people who are trying to find this amazing experience, more than trying to find people who are just cutthroat players. We should be, instead of looking for people who are looking for this emotional experience out there, and not people who will do anything to win. That's what we want. We want people who, they don't care how much they starve or how much they're missing their family. They're going to do whatever it takes to win. And maybe that's the key. Like, try to find more of those people. You got to be careful of these people who are just trying to find themselves by going on Survivor. We don't want that, okay? We want game players. But don't get me wrong, I think a lot of these people we have playing are game players. In fact, I always feel bad when we have multiple instances on a season that is very negative to the season, I always feel bad for the other players because it's not fair to them. You look at season 39, everything that stuff that happened with Dan, and I look at that season so negatively, obviously, and it's not fair to the rest of the players who was out there busting their butts. So, anyway, I still have high hopes. I think it's going to be a great season. I love this cast. Very interesting to see how things broke down for this mix-up. As far as prediction for next week, that Reba group is just not that strong. I see them going back. I think Dee will recover from the whole vote thing, and I think Sifu will probably be voted out again. So I'm going to try him one more time. And that's it for me. You guys take care, and until next time, this is Jeremiah from Southern California.
Thanks, Jeremiah. Yeah, I look forward to seeing how Dee manages that.
I noticed how much more upset Jeremiah and Rebecca were because they lost not only the vote off, but a safe vote.
Yeah.
That playing JSFL does affect our emotions a lot more.
It does. You are more invested. This is true. Thanks again, Jeremiah. Next up, we got a call from Jen.
Hi, everyone. This is Jen in California. So I'm going to try to get to my relevant game-related thoughts before I actually address the huge elephant in the room. If I am playing Survivor, I would think that it's more to my advantage to listen than to speak. And in the moments right before the tribe swap, I think Dee and Katurah made big mistakes in that they spoke rather than just listened. I don't think it was to anyone's benefit to say anything at that moment about Sabaya going home. I mean, them saying it must have been a blindside, or Dee saying there must have been some sort of idol play or something. They were about to drop their buffs and swap tribes, and Dee and Katurah told absolutely everybody that they can't be trusted, that they're going to have difficulty holding their tongue. So don't tell them a secret, unless you want it told to somebody else. And on the new Lulu tribe, Kelly's comments were interesting. I was surprised to learn that she and Katurah are not close. I thought all the girls were close on Bello. Perhaps Kelly has already learned this about Katurah, that she can't be trusted. And Katurah keeps going on and on about Bruce. Maybe Kelly's tired of that too. I don't know, we'll see. And on the new Reba tribe, I guess I thought Jeremiah and Sifu were close because they were on the bottom. I guess I just thought they were kind of partners or teamed up because they were alienated in a sense from the Reba 4. But that's not so. I was thrown for a loop to see that Jay was the strongest voice in who was going to be voted out. I liked Julie's go-with-the-flow attitude, though, even though she didn't agree with wanting to target Sifu. And Dee's handling of the situation, as well as her ultimate vote for Sifu in the end, kind of brings me back to what I said at the beginning with her talking there when everybody else kind of stayed quiet. She's kind of impulsive and she's going to do what she wants. And now that's going to cause her some trouble because Sifu is pissed. And finally, oh my God, it's another quit. Survivor, you're going to have to fire the casting department. This is Survivor. It's not take time to consider what's important to me in this world. Now, I know that people do a lot of introspection out there, but I think that you can play Survivor and take part in that thought exercise at the same time. Yes. So I actually went to Dalton Ross's blog to see what Shahin had to say after the fact, and I'll just say that's 12 minutes of my life that I can't get back. He basically said that he quit because Survivor had served its purpose for him. How about serving your purpose for Survivor, which is to actually play? His primary purpose, I think, was to tell the story of his life. And when Jeff asked for his Survivor eulogy right there at Tribal Council, as he likes to do, I think that Shahin just saw that as an opportunity to just quickly tell his story and make it sound meaningful and then just quit. And I think that because in the interview, it was like he said something like, I'm glad that people saw my story. The only time we saw the story was at Tribal Council, so that's, I guess, what he means. I mean, he said he's a super fan, but there's such a lack of respect for the game and for the fans who love the game when you do that. That's not a super fan. I mean, there is no way this season is going to redeem itself when it has 2 quits. Just no way. I'm sorry for the players who are there that actually want to play because this season is being eclipsed by quitters. Anyway, that's it for me. I kept it positive until I couldn't. Looking forward to hearing everyone else's thoughts. Till next week.
I'm with you, Jen. I don't think he's a Survivor fan either. That's a no fan.
There's no one way to define a super fan because you can come at it from lots of different directions. But yes, I think we can agree that is an example of not one. Next up, we got a call from Paul.
Okay, Paul in Louisiana here, and all I can say is another day, another quitter, I guess? So, yeah, I distinctly remember in the first and second episode watching Shahin getting teary-eyed and thinking that he might be a bit too emotional. I liked him better than I thought I would, but that underlying feeling was there, and I think I might have even mentioned it here in my feedback. But I never thought it would end like this. I mean, I was so confused at Tribal, thinking, wow, this guy is really selling it. And then I slowly realized, unlike D, my USB, that he wasn't acting and that he really wanted out. Now, I skimmed through an interview with him because, honestly, he doesn't deserve any more of my time. But I believe that he was trying to justify his quitting while also saying that he regretted his decision to leave. Yes. Can't have it both ways, bud. Well, enough of that guy. I am turning the page. But I think he screwed up my USB's game. I think that D is about to be under fire. I know I said I wished that I had picked Kelly as my USB after seeing her in action, but honestly, I wanted her as 24 points, not 10. And I loved the episode, save for the end. But I wrote down very little, probably because I was so into watching all the player development. In other words, I am loving the 90-minute format. Please don't take us back down to 1 hour in future seasons, although I can't help but think this is inevitable. Have we ever seen Jeff so thoroughly quiz all the other teams about how a vote-off on another tribe affected the game? I thought that was a bit odd because it took up quite some time, and it seemed, well, odd. Of course, we do have extra time this season, so maybe this stuff just got left on the cutting room floor in past seasons. And I don't know why, but Sifu's praying hands bow in place of a thank you sort of bothers me. He's just trying to sell the image, or dare I say illusion, too hard for me. Yeah, I'm getting those fake Steven Seagal vibes from him. And it bothers me that I suspect he's going to outlive D in this game. Unless, of course, those women can stick together. Not holding my breath, though. Even Jay Maya, who came up with the idea to vote off Sifu, didn't stick to her guns when it came time to vote, like D did. And it looks like Emily has taken Caleb's, criticisms to heart, which has resulted in her being accepted in a new tribe. I guess that's what we call a quick story arc, huh? So, in wrapping this up, I have to say, casting needs to up their game, because they aren't doing their job very well here. Instead of casting for specific types, with the emphasis there being on the plural aspect of the word type, they simply need to cast strong players. I'd much prefer to watch a season of players who aren't hoping to better themselves, or play out their fantasies, or promote themselves. I want people who are passionate and physically and mentally equipped to play for an entire season. Is that too much to ask? And I guess that takes us to who's next to go. Well, I truly believe that Reba's losing was a fluke, but it was good to see Lulu, or more specifically Caleb, win this time around. However, I think that Blue or Blow might lose this time around, and that Bruce will be on everyone's nerves. But if it isn't Bruce, I can easily see Katura leaving because she's just too focused on Bruce. Be like Elsa. Let it go. And I guess that's it for me. Catch y'all later. Bye.
Thanks, Paul. I like that.
I don't think she can do it, though.
Yeah, evidently not. Yeah, you would think if she's still doubling down that hard on day 8 and 9, she's not. Yeah, there's one way that she'll let it go, and it's when Bruce is gone, or she is. Yeah. I'm with a lot of the fans in the feedback show this week. There is a fundamental flaw in whatever their casting methodology is. I think some of it goes back to that desire for TV moments and letting that be your guiding principle. And so that means that you favor people. And I remember thinking, Sean's one of these people. He's going to bring big TV energy. I didn't even have him making the merge because I thought he would be contesting with Caleb for that spotlight.
And you were right.
I was right for different reasons. Yeah, for a reason I wish hadn't been the case for sure. Well, but I think that's part of the con. Part of how he got over on them is he presents himself in that way, in that media training and that savviness. That was part of how he got through the process.
Well, and I always thought Brandon was there because of his writing. He wanted to get noticed. And Hannah was there because she wanted to, sing and
kick
get
off her
roles.
career.
Yes. Totally.
Musicals, yeah.
And I thought Jemaya was too, but she seems to at least be playing.
Yeah, probably one of the biggest surprises was that, and it just hadn't been featured, hence the surprise, was that it, from all appearances, DJ, Maya, and Julie have an alliance, because they kept referring to it as the Women's Alliance. And that wasn't a brand new thing. That wasn't something they had just set up. You could tell they had sat with that for a while, that idea.
Well, that's really smart on both Dee and Julie because they also had alliances with Austin and Drew.
Right.
So that
More
was
options.
totally smart on their part.
Yeah.
To have more than one option.
Yeah, especially when they didn't have any of the advantages or the idol that had been found.
Exactly. Yep.
But they had something better potentially, was a yet another path to an alliance. Yeah, Sifu. There's just so many poser vibes. I thought initially that wasn't the case, that he had it under control. And okay, so he's this Tai Chi guy, and he's got his
and I thought,
Tai
he's got
Chi
a
lane.
sweetness about him and this and that. But like you said, there's too much posing. It's just a bit over the top
It's
for me.
literal and figurative. Yeah, he's just going out of his way. He's got serious mall ninja vibe.
Well, he just seems to want the attention, all the attention he can get. So that's gonna, again, I'm gonna put him and Hannah and Brandon's categories of.
I so wondered if Jay Maya's goal to get rid of him too was because he kept trying to be a singer around her, and she's going, "That isn't any kind of singing that I know." And that you don't seem
You're
to be able to.
making me look bad.
You don't seem to be able to manage a melody, and you're not making any effort for us to actually sing together or do a harmony or anything. She didn't seem like she was feeling that.
And that's
at
the
all.
worst air guitar I've ever seen.
Well, he's used to being a front man, I think, in a metal band, and touring and all that kind of over the top stuff works for that kind of scenario.
It does, yes,
and can help. It isn't. It's like a blunt tool that works with a large crowd.
And it's going to get even more annoying the hungrier and the more tired they get.
Yeah. Yep. Interesting. Well, here we are. We're on the beach. Sean the quitter, going to write his name in the sand. We're going to let the tide wash that out, and we're moving on.
I'm going to forget him.
Turning the page, as Paul said.
Yep.
Good stuff. Thanks to everyone who took the time to share your thoughts and your predictions today. We thoroughly enjoyed it, appreciate it, some insight, certainly things that we hadn't even considered. So that's always cool when we can get together and talk about it and come at it from all these different angles. We appreciate that.
So we can release it and let it go.
That too.
Okay, and if you play in JSFL, don't forget to make your Week 5 picks for one person voted off and 4 people who will still be safe at the end of the episode.
Play bold. Play bold.
Yeah.
You need to have D and Sifu safe or whatever.
Whatever you say, baby.
Uh-huh.
I think we've covered everything, so.
Well, I can say, once again, I'm looking forward to the next episode. And we'll be back on Wednesday with our next recap. Everybody have a good one.